My career profile this time is as a CASA case coordinator, CASA being a court-appointed special advocate. It's an organization. I interviewed Emily Fish, who is the Arapahoe County Program Manager in Colorado, Arapahoe County, Colorado, for Advocates for Children, or CASA. She, in her interview, talking about the working environment, she says that Advocates for Children is overseen by National CASA. It's a national organization, which is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to speaking up for abused and neglected children through court-appointed special advocates, otherwise known as CASA volunteers, to ensure that all children live and thrive in safe, permanent, and nurturing homes. That's their mission and their vision. Advocates for Children serves children and families who have active cases in the Dependency and Neglect Court in the 18th Judicial District of Colorado. So put simply, these are cases where families are involved with the local Department of Human Services, and oftentimes when the child or children have been removed from the care of their parents. This local organization is overseen by a board of 18 volunteers with an executive director, a program director, development director, and a financial director. Within the program, there is one manager dedicated to training and recruitment of volunteers. One manager is in 2 other counties, and they kind of mesh together. Actually, 3 other counties, Albert, Lincoln, and Douglas. They mesh together and work under the auspice of Arapahoe County. They are open. All full-time employees work 40 hours a week from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Mondays through Fridays. There is one part-time employee that works 8 hours a week. Advocates for Children currently they work basically with mostly volunteer base. Advocates for Children currently has 375 active volunteers who are on current cases or have been in the last year. Volunteers are assigned to work with one case or family during the entirety of the open case, which is typically 1 year long. Volunteers are asked to commit to one case for at least 18 months. They are required to apply, interview, pass a DMV, criminal, national sex offender, and Department of Human Services background check. They have 30 hours of in-office training before being sworn in as an officer of the court. And once they are sworn in, they can be assigned on a case. And this is all volunteer for their volunteers. Once on a case, the volunteers are required to contact all professionals, family members, school personnel, medical personnel, therapeutic personnel, placements, parents, and the children, or as applicable each month, and visit with the children multiple times during the month. And this communication is expected to take between 10 and 15 hours per month. Full-time case coordinators, which is what my career profile is, have caseloads of up to 30 cases working with up to 45 CASA volunteers. And so they don't actually do what the volunteers do per se, but they oversee the volunteers, and that's what the case coordinators do. Case coordinators are expected to work in the office, in court, and participate in meetings at the Department of Human Services and in the attorney's offices. The case coordinators are also expected to support their volunteers, even if that means participating in their in-home appointments. They are also required to facilitate and train in the quarterly 30-hour new volunteer trainings as well as on-site training. Full-time case coordinators are required to alternate and participate in the trainings that are outside of the typical business hours and on weekends. And these are the stressors that she talked about. Further, they are expected to be available for their volunteers to be reached on their cell phones 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in case of an emergency. And while the volunteer is performing his or her duties as a CASA. Another stressor can be that the case coordinator is subject to the jurisdiction and court order of the presiding judge and magistrate. They are required to turn in court documents to be used as evidence in aiding the determination of the safety and well-being of the child or children. The case coordinator is also responsible for making sure that all information gained from the CASA volunteer is honest, accurate, and without bias to support the judge or the magistrate's decision on each child's permanency and their future. Another stressor might be concerning the ethics of preserving the family unit. This means that each case coordinator is required to appropriately, objectively, and accurately advise each volunteer on each case on how to identify whether parents are appropriate, suitable, and fit to continue to parent his or her children, or if and when it is appropriate to recommend that parental rights of a parent be terminated and the child be placed for adoption, or if someone other than a parent be granted sole custody of the child. On the other hand, it is also the responsibility of the case coordinator to also advise the CASA volunteer on each case on how to assess when it is appropriate to transition the child back home. More often than not, the CASA volunteer is not in agreement with returning the children back. The courts tend to go back and forth on that with CASA, and that becomes a problem. Sometimes it provides a big stressor. Back to the parents who had previously abused or neglected them. The benefits, typical benefits in an organization like this for the full-time employees are health and dental insurance, and the agency pays for 85% of the cost for each employee's medical insurance. Time off for full-time employees during their first year includes 3.5 hours of personal time off and 1.5 hours of vacation during each pay period, and the pay periods are from the 1st to the 15th and the 16th to the 30th or 31st. Time off for full-time employees when they reach 5 years includes 3.6 hours of personal time off and 5 hours of vacation during each pay period. Every full-time employee receives 40 hours of personal leave, that's use it or lose it time off each year. They also get every holiday off paid that the court is closed, as well as the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. Overtime is not paid, so the employees are expected to flex or take time off out of the office when they work over 40 hours each week. Case coordinators are required to staff cases. The common job tasks are they are required to staff cases and families to CASA volunteers, supervise, advise, monitor, and maintain volunteer involvement in the cases, create, edit, and submit court reports for 85% of all hearings, attend court at least 4 times each month for the hearings, track and enter statistics, facilitate and present trainings, attend volunteer recruitment events, and manage conflicts or concerns as needed with the volunteers. These duties are essential to supporting the reunification process between parent and children, or if that is not possible, determining a safe and permanent appropriate home, whether that is through sole custody or adoption by a relative or non-relative. What's required educationally? Case coordinators are required to hold a bachelor's degree. They prefer a social work degree, but it's not required. I talked to her about a family and marriage studies degree, and she said they would definitely consider that as being in the field, since you're in the field to work with families. All employees are required to attend the 30-hour new volunteer training, and they are required to take 1 volunteer CASA case, and that can happen concurrently with their employment. The starting salary range is $30,000 a year is where they start. Experienced when you've been there a while, and in this case for her, she is the program manager. And it goes up, then it goes from $38,000 as a program manager, from $30,000 as a case coordinator, $38,000 a year as a program manager, and then as a director, $50,000+ a year. The cost of living raises are about 3%, and they occur every 2 years or so, but not to be expected. The case coordination positions are grant funded, and you must pass all of the background checks and screenings and everything. And the information sources are on the internet at www.adv4children.org and www.CASA4children.org. Thank you.